First of all, I apologize for the long delay in my videos. My house has needed some attention. There was the holidays. It was just an absolute insane winter. That said, this video is going to start with me yelling about Karens who are ostentatiously misinformed about the benefits of urban homesteading and backyard chickens, and then it's going to devolve into me just going on and on about how amazing chickens are and the benefits they can have, regardless of whether you do any homesteading yourself. Tariffs, Doge, Iran, deportations, Ukraine. We're only 4 months into 2025 and it's been rough. The guy who likes to fire everybody is president again, and he obviously hasn't lost his obsession with firing people. There's hundreds of issues going on, but today we are going to talk about the original white meat, or more specifically, how an entire county in New York is allowed to have chickens except for a 15 square mile patch of a small town. Here, in this quaint town nestled inside of one of New York's most important cities, there is a constant battle going on between old and new, traditional versus modern, Karens against chickens.
You need me over here, babe?
No.
Oh, thank God. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Derek.
Hey, Pam.
Hey.
No, there's no hey, Pam. We don't like Pam.
Got it. Eat a dick, Pam.
You see, there's a bylaw written in this small town that applies only to this small town. No person shall permit any animal owned by him or her or under his or her control other than a domestic animal as defined by 70-26 above to run at large or be pastured on any public street, park, or land. 70-26 just defines domestic animals as cats and dogs. Just to give some back history here, at this current point in time, we're going to go back 6 to 8 months to when Biden was still in office and was dealing with a massive bird flu issue. As always, I never advocate for a politician, but in this rare instance, I'm going to make an exception. By September 2024, over 100 million chickens were infected with bird flu. The Biden administration had 166 million chickens, including 20 million egg-laying chickens, killed due to the disease. I know a lot of people will disagree, but this was the best option at the time. The disease is so infectious, if we didn't do anything about it, our situation would be a lot worse, even considering the current prices of eggs. It takes roughly 18 to 22 weeks for an egg-laying hen to reach maturity, so in the next month or so, we should see a fair decrease in egg prices. But Trump said he would have grocery prices down on day one. I was wondering when you were going to show up. Yeah, and I said my Camaro was going to be race ready 3 years ago. The man says a lot of things, and just like any politician, I would advise you not to hold your breath. The man's past due solving the Russia-Ukraine issue by about 3 months, give or take, so I would take anything he says with a grain of salt. What brought all this to life? As usual, social media being a cancer upon society, it was the thing that set this video in motion. I'm going to read a post from this small town social media group. Why are we being bombarded with these backyard chicken posts? Yes, I am 100% against this issue. I do not want chickens in our neighborhood. If you want chickens, why did you move to an area that has an ordinance against them? My qualifications for having an opinion against them was questioned. Yes, I am in Ohio now, but I still own my house in this small town. I also grew up here, went to the local high school, played in the band, and still have friends and family in this small town. Does that satisfy those questioning me? I do not want chickens near my property. I do not want the smell. I do not want the noise. I do not care about all of these so-called benefits of having chickens in the neighborhood. I do not want to hear about responsible chicken owners either. We all know that once the novelty of ownership wears off, then the irresponsibility happens. Enough is enough. I hope with every fiber of my being that this never sees the light of day, and I guarantee I am not the only one. Also, who knows what impact this would have on property values? Seriously, can we just have these chicken posts stay on their own group page and off of this small town's page? Now, normally I don't make content about social media drama, especially when it comes to land ownership. You see, I initially missed the part about Ohio. I read the post and thought, I think you're absolutely wrong. I think you're absolutely misinformed. But you own the land you live on. Not only are you obviously entitled to making rules on the land you own, but you should also have a say about the laws and rules in the community your piece of heaven is located in. But then I saw, damn, you can hear chickens all the way in Ohio? That's impressive. And I thought, Ohio? So naturally I went to her profile, and it listed a city in Ohio as her current residence. Yeah, just generalizing here, but essentially there's a town in New York that mostly wants chickens, and there's literally a fucking Karen in Ohio trying to tell people who she lives 437 fucking miles away from what they can or cannot have, telling them, no, you can't save money on eggs, fight pests, and properly reuse all your consumables. I'm going to place a little bit of background. Obviously, over the years, especially since COVID, grocery prices have been getting more and more expensive. It's also important to note that since roughly around 2015, growing fruits and vegetables and having small farm animals or urban homesteading in your backyard has been growing. It's grown to the point that when egg prices blew up in 2025, several government officials made the recommendation of raising chickens to help offset the drastic increase in egg prices.
$1 million.
I can't track down exactly when the municipal law was written and source it, but according to people in the area whom I've asked, it's been the understanding for at least the last 40 years, chickens have been banned from this small town, while the rest of the county has been free to harvest their own fresh eggs since inception, it would seem. I'm just guessing, but I'm fairly confident the original issue was due to a concern that having farm animals in small quarters would create certain odors and make the surrounding area smell foul. Not gonna apologize, dad's gonna dad joke, but I'm also serious. I'd guess most people in the city at the time didn't want the sounds, smells, and sights any farming would bring to the area. With all things, time brings wisdom and experience, but before we get into what it's like to have chickens, I want to cover some of the things on this post. I've always been a die-hard prepper. I've recently picked up an interest in growing my own food, and I've been following several people on doing small urban homesteading. I've done plenty of research, albeit not nearly enough yet, and I've seen plenty of false information. Seeing this post, I've decided I'm going to clarify some of these points this person has. If you want chickens, why did you move to an area that has an ordinance against them? Well, in case you missed it, the economy isn't the greatest and the housing market is even worse. You're lucky if you can get a landlord that allows you to have a garden. Having animals that can produce food and other materials for you is damn near impossible. The only way to negate that is to purchase a home. Now, every homeowner is entitled to their opinions, including I don't want to see people growing their own food and trying to be more self-reliant. But if an area supports changing a law, then it should be placed to a vote, and that means that this should work the way the Founding Fathers intended. The majority should have the final say. Not to mention, lots of the country was farmland less than 100 years ago. And apparently the people had their say because it's 2025, we're in America, and these people still aren't allowed to have their egg-laying chickens, partially because of a Karen 437 miles away in fricking Ohio. My qualifications for having an opinion against them was questioned. Yes, I am in Ohio now, but I still own my own house in this small town. I also grew up here, went to the local high school, played in the band, and still have friends and family here. Does that satisfy those questioning me? No, it absolutely does not. I cannot come up with a single reason why a person who does not even live in the fucking state, let alone the town, the law is potentially being changed in, should have a say in that law. You don't live anywhere near where the town to be affected in your day-to-day life is. We don't care if you own property here. There are people in Africa who own rental property in New York. Should they get a say? Absolutely not. Do they? Probably. You live in a state whose existence is questionable, bordered by I Heart New York, always cold and 75% lakes, mostly cornfields, hill savannas, and Great Value Brand New York. Nobody here gives a damn about your feelings of chickens. I do not want chickens on my property. That's absolutely fine. You own your property. In most things, you have 100% final say in what is or isn't allowed. I myself will fight for your right to not want chickens on your land. That being said, you don't get to tell people what they can or can't have on their property. I mean, I guess by voting you can, even all the way from Ohio, but the way things are looking, most people are on board with chickens. I do not want the smell. Okay, cool. Neither do chicken owners and neither do chickens. Again, Google can clarify this. A chicken that stinks isn't a chicken being a normal chicken. It's not even the chicken you're smelling in this instance, because the only thing that can really smell bad when it comes to chickens is a coop that is not properly maintained. There are actually a few different ways to maintain a chicken coop. You can either regularly clean your coop by removing the bedding every week or even every few days in the hot seasons, or you can do what most chicken owners opt for, the deep litter method. This usually requires the coop to be cleaned fully once a year, not an exact time reference as every flock and environment is different. This is the preferred method to coop cleaning as it is the best way to create compost from your chicken coop bedding. Occasionally you will have to put a thin top layer on roughly every 1 to 4 weeks, allowing the lower bedding to break down into compost while the top layer holds in the odors. This bedding, when it comes time for the annual change, can be placed directly in your compost pile for your garden, and usually takes about 3 months to fully break down. However, with the right climate and conditions, it can be used directly in your garden in as little as 18 days. Just be sure to keep an eye on that nitrogen level, because nitrogen can kill plants fast. But, you know, smell or whatever.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
I do not want the noise. In comparison to what? The dirt bikes that the small village has a problem with? The airport that's located smack in the middle of your township? Traffic? You know what? You're right. 120 decibels is way too loud. Oh wait, that's an airplane. Sorry, my astrology sign is cauliflower. What I meant was 100 decibels. Ah shit, that's those pesky dirt bikes again. Well, I guess 80 isn't too woof. That's a dad joke, and those are dogs. I took the liberty of doing a bit of Googling what different noises are at. Dog barks are average 80 to 90 decibels, with larger breeds hitting 110 decibels. Cats meow at 60 decibels. Those airplanes take off at 120 decibels. Trucks downshifting down your local highway hover around 118 decibels. When the whirlybirds come out for the Kia boys, they make about 100 decibels of noise. Those damn dirt bikes, 100 decibels. Sirens, 120. Traffic, 80. Literal human conversation, 65 decibels. Guess how many decibels chickens are at? 60. That's right. Fluffy McFlufferton and Sir Clucks-a-Lot make the exact same amount of noise. It's girl talk for Sir. Should've went with Joanna Cluck. I do not care about all of these so-called benefits of having chickens in the neighborhood. This one gets me. The audacity of, I've said my piece and you aren't allowed to tell me if I'm wrong about something is crazy. You know what the benefits are? We're going to cover the most obvious one first. Cost of eggs. I've done quite a bit of research on chicken ownership over the years, preparing myself for my own, and I want to make this clear. Chickens will not directly save you money on eggs, especially when you're just starting out. Even if you grow or make your own feed, cost of other supplies, the coop, the chicks, even at $6 a dozen, it's cheaper to purchase them in store. I'll cover on one of many ways to make it so chickens are saving money on eggs later. But there's more than eggs with chickens. They go hand in hand with homesteading. They get rid of pests like ticks and mosquitoes, and they make great pets. Feel bad for throwing away vegetable or fruit trimmings? Give it to the chickens. Someone's got a pet allergy and the kids want a pet? Get a chicken. Family doesn't like eggplant parmesan? Give it to the chickens. You know that leftover chicken breast that no one's going to eat and it's the final night to use it before throwing it into the trash? Yeah, you can feed that to those carnivorous bastards. They love that shit.
Actually, we're all tickled to hear you say that.
I do not want to hear about responsible chicken owners. Let me get this straight. You're going to flaunt some random nonsense that you've done no research on and lie, and not let people on the other side of the aisle in a state you don't live in speak their case? Well, we don't want to hear Karen from Ohio telling us what we can and can't have on our property, but here we are.
Poppycock! Pushy Americans, always showing up late for every war. Overpaid, oversexed, and over here.
The only reason you don't want to hear about responsible chicken owners is because we literally can disprove any claim you can come up with against chicken ownership. And as far as your friends' claims that all chicken owners do is slaughter chickens...
Ladies, please, let's not lose our heads.
Lose our heads?
is complete bullshit. Most people keeping chickens in urban areas are keeping them for one of three things: eggs, composting chicken bedding, or pets. Do you know how much chicken the average person eats a year? 100 pounds. How much does the average meat chicken weigh? About 5 pounds.
But wait! There's more!
Know what happens when you cook things? They lose some weight. Know what those chickens cook down to? 4 pounds if you're lucky. So you're going to need 25 meat chickens per year. But we forgot about Mom, Susie, and little Timmy. So you'll actually need about 100 chickens per year on average. Guess how big your average inner city backyard is? About 700 square feet. Know how much land a chicken needs? 10 square feet. How much space do 100 chicken needs? 1,000 square feet. So any responsible owner probably isn't going to be raising meat chickens in the inner city. Yes, we might cull our egg-laying chickens on rare occasions for whatever reason, whether they're just getting old, or they're bullying or terrorizing the flock, but guess what's in the inner city? Butchers! I can't speak for every chicken owner, but I already have 3 options to bring whatever bird I'm trying to prep for my dinner to, because I barely have room for the Camaro in the garage, and you're out of your goddamn mind if you think I'm beheading miniature velociraptors in there. We all know the novelty of ownership wears off, then the irresponsibility happens.
The audacity!
Cracker, please. Now we're just throwing opinion down as fact. First, you can't prove everyone is going to get lazy. Second, you realize this applies to all pets, right? Like, it's not just chickens people get bored with. There are plenty of people who shouldn't have dogs or cats. If you want to bring chickens into this, let's talk about all the rabbits that end up in shelters, or worse, 2 weeks after Easter. I'm sure you don't want to talk about the abandoned puppies and kittens a month after Christmas because nobody does their goddamn research when they gift their kids a freaking pet. And just to clarify, you can go on the county website that not only disproves all of this person's claims, but also explains the benefits of keeping chickens, goats, and bees. And it doesn't end at this initial post. There was someone commenting on this post along with her. Some of the things this person said: she owns property here, so that's enough said. She pays taxes here. And then there's this one: tigers eat rodents. Should we include them in the petition? Everyone else is on the complete opposite side of this argument. Wow, awfully triggered for someone who doesn't even live here. Relax. Damn. You can hear chickens all the way in Ohio? That's impressive. I suggest all of us get chickens. So you made a chicken post to say not to make chicken posts. I'm going to mark you down as a maybe then. I'd listen to chickens all day long. These barking dogs at 4 a.m. are the real issue here. You do know that there are so many houses that have had them for years and not a single issue, right? You need to relax. It's not that serious. Did you get mugged by a group of wild chickens or something? This one's my personal favorite. Why are you in Ohio complaining about what people in a whole different state want to do with their property? And why are you in this group to begin with? Does this count as a chicken post? And, cool, your opinion matters, but throttle it back a little. Show us on the doll where the chicken hurt you. So after reading through all of this, I got curious about how my neighborhood right next door views the topic of backyard chickens. This is what they had to say. My neighbor has had them for years. It is like anything else. If you are responsible and take care of them, there are no issues. The city limits the number to 6, so it's not like anyone can have a large flock. I see no problem. With the price of eggs, sure, why not? I fully support it. Everyone should be able to keep chickens if they want. As long as it stays within someone's yard, then I don't see a problem. They are great at eating ticks. Kept in a fenced-in yard by a homeowner should be fine. Not a rental. Kept clean and responsible shouldn't be a problem, is my opinion. Chickens are awesome. As long as they have a good shelter at night and a safe fenced-in yard free to roam during the day, I think it's great. I want chickens. If they're well cared for and they don't have noisy roosters, I think it's great. We intend to get a few at some point. This one's another solid point. I don't really care, but being a math person, those people thinking about getting chickens because of the cost of eggs these days need to consider how much it costs to properly keep chickens. Eggs might be way cheaper. As long as they have a well-maintained coop and a fenced-in yard. Meat hens and egg layers are cool. Roosters gotta go. I have no problem with it. Great compost. They eat ticks and mosquitoes. Oh, and spiders. Fresh eggs. I wouldn't mind them at all. There are a ton more of these, but you get the idea. Okay, these people can't agree on whether we should be allowed to have fireworks or not, or on what we should do to handle porch pirates. You can't do anything without someone saying something, and they all agree on people being able to keep chickens. I don't really know why. Maybe it's because there's a good chance some fresh local eggs might be up for sale in the near future. Who knows? I'm a rookie homesteader myself, but I don't have any chickens yet. The cost of eggs is eventually going to help me sway the decision of my wife to wait until we have more land.
Why don't we get an egg and start our own chicken farm? That way we'll have all the eggs we could eat.
Right. We'll need a chicken then.
No, we'll need an egg. You have the egg first. That's where you get the chicken from.
Oh, that's cobblers. If you don't have a chicken, where are you going to get an egg?
And from the chicken, that comes from the egg.
Yeah, but you have to have an egg to have a chicken.
Yeah, but you've got to get the chicken first to get the egg, and then to get the egg, get the chicken out.
Hang on, let's go over this again.
With the dogs, chickens would make a great addition to the family. The eggs, which sometimes come twice a day, are a start, but I'm also trying to leave less of a footprint on the planet, and I'm trying to waste less food. Chickens eat the pests from the yard. Compost from chickens is like 10 times better than regular compost. If roosters are allowed, they make great guard dogs, as they will squawk at anyone they don't recognize. Roosters also protect the flock and look for food for them as well. There are some cons, but most just concern those who grow their own food. The chickens will also eat the worms in the soil, Sometimes you have to cull a bird that's terrorizing the flock. They're susceptible to wild animals, and not only do you have to go in the snow and cold in the winter to feed, water, and care for them, you also have to keep their water from freezing. One tip to protect against predators: you can protect them by keeping them enclosed in a coop or shed, locked in with chicken wire buried at the border. This isn't about meat chickens either. Yes, egg chickens can be used as meat chickens, but like I said, most yards are too confined to plausibly have meat chickens. Most are just for eggs. I know some Karen in Ohio is trying to go all HOA over here, saying how awful chickens are, but if it's another bird, it's okay. My ex once had a parrot and her mom was vacuuming the floor. The instant she went down the hall to clean, I watched this bastard projectile shit 10 feet across the living room. I'm not even kidding. If she can have that, who are you to judge someone having a modern day dinosaur as a pet? Overall, it looks like these residents aren't giving up on the chickens, and I'm very interested to see what the final vote ends up being.
Increase velocity! What does that mean?
In summation, always be sure to check your local regulations before getting chickens, because someone in Ohio might lose their mind over it. Even though chickens are great pets, they do provide food in multiple ways, but if you're looking to save money on eggs, you may want to consider getting those from a farmer's market. However, if you do homestead in other ways, eventually chickens will save you money on eggs. And people should never get to vote for laws for land they may own but don't primarily live on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment below for any topic you'd like me to cover. As always, stay classy. Peace. I almost forgot to mention that chicken used to be considered a delicacy because back in old times, other farm animals ate grass, but chickens had to be fed things like grain that could be consumed by humans. They're also the reason why you can't own trucks like the Hilux, and why the old S10 pickups used to have the weird back seats that look like it was built for children without any of the normal safety features. Chicken Tax is a hell of a read.